Hey everyone, it is Asaki Kai coming to you from Confessions of a Psychic, the official vlog. And I wanted to start off my very first vlog by talking a little bit about some really core basic stuff, how I actually came into this gift myself. Most of the time, that is a story I skip unless I am actually in formalized class with a bunch of students. I normally don't get into how that actually occurred. So, very often people ask me, did you always know you had this gift, or was it there all the time, or have you always been psychic? And my answer is kind of a mixed, it's yes and no. I have always had signs that I was psychic since I was a really little girl. Don't know that I knew what to call it back then. I was born in the 70s, so all these words that we have now, all these cool terms that we have that we throw out there, are you clairaudient? Are you clairvoyant? Now we know all the things to say, right? We didn't always know that stuff, right? So before us having the terminology and the verbiage and it being really commonplace for us to use, what my experience was really this. When I was a little kid, I have very specific marker points in my life that were key features to me developing my gift, although I didn't necessarily know that right then. When I was 4 years old, I had several prophetic dreams that I remember coming true over the course of, I'm going to say, about 3 years afterwards. Um, that was my first big clue. Again, didn't know what to call it. I just knew every dream I had was coming true. When I would say anywhere from 7 to 12, I had a lot of deja vu, in particular, in between 9 and 12, like in those prepubescent and my puberty years. It was like every single thing that happened around me was always a deja vu. You remember in The Matrix when Neo is passing the stairs and the cat passes twice and they all go deja vu and everybody pauses for a hot second. Um, that was a lot of my life, and it was very often where it would catch me off guard, and then everything would seem very foggy, almost like in reality it was actually a dream. Anywho, so that really was like age 4, age 7, 9 to 12, that entire bracket. And then many of my teen years were marked with a lot of deja vu, a lot of prophetic dreams, a lot of dreams that came true, a lot of signs around me. When I was 7, I had a dream that I fell off the railing on the top of the stairs where I lived. And when I hit the bottom, I fell into this invisible hand that kind of rocked me down to the bottom. And I also saw people that had already passed on in that space where the invisible hand caught me. That dream has stayed with me my entire life. Um, when I was 12, I had very specific 11 and 12. I had a lot of dreams about stars and the sky and um, what I later learned to be constellations and astrology, but I didn't necessarily even know what to call it then. I just knew I was dreaming about the stars. Uh, I will definitely say astrology is my first love. I'll elaborate on that later. Um, but without question, astrology is absolutely drew me in first. It made the most sense to me. I consider astrology a science, quite frankly, because there's a lot to it. You can't really run from the fact that the planets have aspects and they have an effect on us. Or the moon. We are 70% water, so obviously, if the moon affects the tides of the ocean, seems like it would affect us too, right? It's just common sense, folks. In At age 20, I had a very traumatic event that kind of shut down my ability. And it wasn't that it went away, it was actually coming in stronger. However, emotionally, I was so all over the place, and it was very hard for me to decipher between the ability that I was already developing and what was reality. Where before and after that phase, I was very good at being able to discern it. So that was a difficult, difficult time for me. Um, and just before that, I would say 17, 18, 19, I spent a lot of time playing with tarot cards, Mahjong cards. Oh, I had this deck of Mahjong cards that I was absolutely obsessed with. I mean, once a week, I was flipping cards either for friends or for myself. That's how far back I go in reading for people. A lot of my 20s were spent Not so much in developing the gift directly, however, in a lot of fringe things that are directly involved with developing your intuition, even if just by accident. I did a lot of forgiveness work in my 20s, and I also did a lot of astral projection workshops and courses and ways to learn to kind of be out there in the ether. Now, I will mention time is always speeding up. So the things that were in the ether then and what we had access to are very different now. Time is steadily collapsing. You're going to hear me say that a lot. And because time is collapsing, the way we move astral projection now, dramatically different from what it was then. It was a lot safer then than it is now. Anywho, um, from my 20s and doing a lot of shamanistic research, a lot of astral projection research, a lot of out of body experience research, a lot of coursework, a lot of certifications, and that in my 30s was when I really moved into what I say is that phase of full on esoteric. So I developed my intuition a lot more. And I started almost immediately following, showing other people how to do the very same thing. I have been a professional psychic where I've done nothing else but be a psychic for about going on 10 years now. And I have obviously been dabbling in it since I was really very young. Like I said, astrology is my first love, age 11. By 17, I definitely had plenty of tarot decks and I was playing with them all the time and doing readings for other people. That was kind of a cool phase because it was when it was all still brand new and exciting and fun. And I just wanted to get my hands in it and find out what it was all about. This is definitely this far end of the journey is definitely the greatest part because I've really dove in all the way, dove deep, and decided this is not only the spiritual path, but it's also my calling. It's what I do for my career. So, I kind of converged a lot of different elements of my life into the spiritual, and it's really where I feel like I am most at home. Um, Tune in again. We're going to be talking a lot more about how I developed these skills and abilities. As a matter of fact, the very next blog post that I do is going to be all about how my senses really work. Clairaudient predominantly, but I use all of my senses and my psychic ability, and I do mean every single one. How I developed my senses, moreover, why I don't need to use tools anymore. And that's not, a lot of the time, I think people take it to mean leveling. It's not so much that, it's just once you get to a certain point with your tarot, most people who are tarot readers could read without tarot cards. They just don't. Some of that is for the audience, by the way, and some of that is for the reader themselves. So we'll talk a little bit more about how I developed my skills, my abilities, and more importantly, how I managed to do this work with absolutely no tools in front of me. So no tarot cards, no stones, no crystals. I just read. We'll talk all about that and how you can get the same thing. All right, folks, I will talk to you very soon. I'm looking forward to it. Take care of yourselves. Bye.
This conference will now be recorded.
So, last but not least, if you want more detail on how to develop your intuitive ability, which is always available for you in some format from me, then click below for more details. Talk to you soon.